One year in September, a huge typhoon hit our area. The radio said it was going to be the worst in 10 years. The schools were closed and all the shops in town lowered their shutters in preparation for the storm. This particular storm did not have a great deal of rain, but the winds were doing a lot of damage, blowing roofs off houses and capsizing ships. Perhaps an hour had gone by with the wind at its worst. Like this, when a hush fell over everything. All of a sudden, it was so quiet, we could hear a bird crying in the distance. My father opened the storm door. A crack looked outside. We're in the eye of the storm, my father told me. It'll stay quiet. I went out and started to explore. It was hard to believe what a wild storm had been blowing there until a few minutes before. I looked up at the sky. The storm's great eyes seemed to be there, fixing its cold stare on all of us below. No such eye existed. Of course, we were just in the momentary quiet spot at the center of the pooling of willing air. While the grown-ups checked for damage to the house, I went down to the beach. Kay saw me walking down the road and came outside. "Where are you going?" he said. "Just down to look at the beach," I said. Without a word, he came along with me. He had a little white dog that followed after us. We stepped down to the other side of the breakwater and walked along the broad beach. I had taken care to keep well back from the waterline. In spite then, the water drew back and stayed back. "I'm getting out of here," I yelled to Kay. Then I heard a deep rumbling sound. It seemed to shake the earth. I told myself to run over to Kay, grab hold of him, and get out of there. As clearly as I knew what I ought to be doing, I found myself running the other way, running full speed towards the dike alone. "Hurry, Kay! Get out of there! The wave is coming!" But it was too late. He tried to run, but now there was no time to run. In the next instant, the wave had swallowed him. The next wave crashed onto the beach, shattering into a million leaping waves. By then, the wave had turned, and with a wild cry, it was rushing back out to sea. Nowhere on the shore could I find any trace of Kay or of his dog. There was only the empty beach. The next wave came. It towered before me, blocking out the sky like a deadly cliff. This time, though, I didn't run. The second wave was just as big as the first, maybe even bigger. From far above my head, it began to fall, losing its shape like a brick wall, slowly crumbling. And its crest inside its cruel, transparent tongue, what I saw was Kay. And the tip of the wave floated Kay's body, reclining on his side. But that is not all. Kay was looking straight at me, smiling. His cold, frozen eyes were locked on mine, and his right arm was stretched out in my direction, as if he were trying to grab my hand and pull me into the other world where he was now. A little closer, and his hand would have caught mine. But having missed, Kay then smiled at me one more time, his grin wider than ever. Then last spring, I finally revisited the beach where Kay had been taken by the wave. To the west, I lowered my bag to the sand and sat down next to it in a silent appreciation of the gentle escape. And then I realized that the deep darkness inside me had vanished. I raised myself from the sand, and without bothering to take off my shoes, I rolled off my cuffs, walked into the surf, and let the waves lap at my ankles. There would be one slow moving wave, then a long pause, and then another wave would come and go. And then inside me, the axis of time gave one great heave. 40 long years collapsed like a diplomated house, mixing old time and new time together in a single swirling mass. But I was not afraid. Not at all. There was no longer anything for me to fear. Those days were gone.